Today I'm continue for the banner upgrade from 11G to 19C and migrate with separate database server with a job server. Before the videos, I already showed the procedures how to separate database and job server. Now 19C database and 19C client installed, job server is already established. We are going to change the application, switch the application from the old database to the new database 19C, from 11G to 19C. Here is the old systems. We have database server here, job server, right? And then we have applications in IMB, SSB, also Banner 9 on the TOMCAT server. Now our system separate. Job server, database server will be the DBSRV001 is Oracle 19.3. Application, we have to connect all of them again to this database instead of the other one. The step I'm showing here is to Banner 8. They're still using it. Most school probably still have it. One SSB, another one IMB. This connect to 19C system. Also, we have a Banner 9. 3 of them is on TOMCAT server connect to the 19C system. Usually, all of school they have the DBMS. I'm going to talk about a little bit. Also, some school have a BRM. This quickly, I give you the connection how to do this. So this is a whole procedure from 1 to 5. We're going to dealing with to give detail one by one. Number 1, SSB server. SSB server reconnection is very easy to do because SSB server they are using database connection. Database was built SSB application using HTTP and HTTP HTF package. Generate HTML or HTML page, so display written to your client. So the word connection they're using called DAD.configure. If you work or professional, you already know this. Many times you probably use it, right? The only things you need to do is in this file, you change it from the old server to the new one. DBSRV001. Keep everything else same. That's pretty much it's done. So this is general SSB connection. It is very easy if you do not have anything else installed on the SSB server. But you have to do it from the console. If you modify the file, it will work, but the problem is sometimes when you modify it, you cannot see it. So Oracle suggests you do everything, modify the configure file from the console. To do that, it's very easy. You log in the console, WebLogic console. There's code advanced method, and then underneath you can find this file, dads.configure. You change it here. Save it. Sometimes I need a bounce server, or you save it bounce server. The next one, second, IMB server. IMB server is more complex because there's quite a few files, including this connection. tsnames.ri file. You also have a dads.configure file. Also, you can find some files like say JDBC and SSO Intech MTR DS, SSO Manager DS. Also have a report server. Application configure file for forms. Configure file for your application. This is for SSO's single sign-on. This is for your database. So those files you have to take care of, but only one. TS names you can modify from server side. The other file I suggest you modify in WebLogic console. Do not do it on server side. Just modify the server file, restart it. Sometimes you got some trouble. So the first one, TS names, very simple. We keep this. This is a database alias. This alias is used in application everywhere. So do not change this one. You only change the server name here. Change to the new server. Replace server name, you're done with it. Save it. This is only file you change on the server side. Everything else, we are going to do it from the console. This is a form config file. Inside there's a PRD sector. Do not do this anything on this file. Pick up from TS or a file. This is SSO manager configure file. Do same thing. There's a two tasks, a local parameter. Point to this CP BANA PROD, this alias in TS names, right? Do not change. Do not do anything with it. PROD in a file also have this two entry. Same thing. Data source, you got to change it in the console. The reason is data source, they are using JDBC connection. You have to change it in console side. The only thing that change here is new server name. For all source, do it in the console. Do not modify the file. The ADS, the configure file, is one of them. You have to do same thing like we did before. So let's see how we do it, right? For the reports, first. Report, when you log in INB EM console, not application console, EM console. Logging EM console, you will see one report, something like your name like a PROD, right? Click on this one. You got one page. Under this page, you can see the two tasks. Point to this BANA-PROD alias. Do not change it. Keep this way. Should be fine. Same thing, DAD. Configure like SSB you did. You go to advanced server configuration. Find this file. Change this one. Just like in an SSB you did. Another one is the two configure files. I will show you where they are, but do not change it. The one is you log in as admin 7001. The support used EM console, not application console, right? You're going to find the two files. One PROD-env, another one PROD-SSO.env. Also, they have two tasks, local connect to this alias. Using these two alias, they are going to pick up from TS names. Do not change here. For form, it's the same thing. In the under form, you're going to find the connections, two tasks are local. Point to this database alias2. Do not change it. Okay. Another one is the base domain 7002, because this university, they are using this base domain to connect to the SSO manager. SSO meaning the single sign-on. They have SSO manager server created underneath. And then under this server, this application, you're going to find two data source. DS meaning the data source. This data source, two of them, one is for Integ MGR, another one for SSO manager. Users SSO MGR. These two users are database user. Connect to database. So for first one, you see the username is INTEGMGR, right? You change here. DBSRV001 is the one you got to change. This data source. Another data source, username is SSOMGR. Same thing, DBSRV001. So when you change it to database source connection, basically you're done with the INB setup switch. Already connect to the 19C database. The next one will be the Part1 application. All of them are on TOMCAT. The TOMCAT server, you got to switch it to connect to the database. There's 3 servers, 3 different applications. The way is similar. There are some of them is different. Let's talk about detail. The first one is called Application Navigator. This application, if you're a Part1 professional, you will know what is Application Navigator. That's a generalist. Replace the old INB. In this server, you only have one file to change, server.xml. In this file, there's 2 users connect to database. One is Part1 proxy, another one is Part1 SS user. Change the JDBC connection to the new server. You're done. When you finish it, bounce TOMCAT server. On the TOMCAT server 2, usually people or any university has it called admin page. In admin page will be a little more complex. You still have to modify the server XML file. There's 2 users, Part1 proxy, also BANSS user, right? Just like you did before. But there's one file, this WAR file. This ws.war file is used by university to configure it to connect to applications. Inside this WAR file, there's one configure file, configure.properties. Inside, here is the connection, server name. They're using IP address here, but database name, because we're not changing it, we stay the same. But the new server name will be this one, right? Then you got to do this. How do you do it? Generally, I'm going to do this way. I make one temporary directory. I'm going to copy this file to the temporary directory. I go to this directory. Inside, I use the jar file xvf to open this file, WAR file. When I finish, the file is open. I see a lot of directories, so I go to this directory. In this directory, I copy this file, save it, configure the properties, and modify this file. Change from old to new. Okay. When you change the file, you save it. You go back to the temporary temp directory. There, you're going to update using this command, jar uvf. Your WAR file name, the file you already modified. When you finish this one, you go to this directory, which is the TOMCAT application deploy directory. I move this file, the new file, this old one, to anywhere. It doesn't matter. This old one should be one file, WAR file. Another one is WS file. Move this one or delete it, up to you. Then you copy the file you already made, and then copy this file to this directory, deploy directory. You restart TOMCAT server. When you restart TOMCAT server, this application will be deployed to the new database. The third one is just like a bit called self-service server, Part1. Usually you have it with student or general or finance, no, not finance, a faculty or something. So it's the same thing. It's a server XML file. It's modified as to user resource. Now, simply, this is generally the way you modify button 9 is done. Let's talk about another one. Almost all of the university and college, they have this installed. DBMS, which is the BANA Document Management. But this one, they have one server called Extender. Then Extender server is the only server you have to run. You have to run it on Windows server. Cannot run on Linux server. On this server, there is connection data source, but do not change anything. Do not change anything. Just modify one file, which is a team.asname.ri file. On this server, Windows server, you can find it under worker home. They always have a worker clan. Worker clan is where it is the team.asname.ri file. No matter where they are, find it, change this, keep this data source, alias. Do not change it. Just modify server name from this one to new one. You're done. If you, for some reason, you change the alias, you make trouble. Because this alias is not on server side using it, it migrated to the database. It is saved in database tables. Okay. So simply, doing this one, do not make complex. It will be fine. The next one to the BRM, BANA Relationship Management. This one is a little bit complex because this one, so what happens is it is one application that is deployed on WebLogic server. The database connection is inside this EAR file. Which one? This is EAR file. This file is database property, including line. We got to change it from old server to the new one, right? This old to the new one is what we're going to do. But because in the ERA file, what you have to do, you have to open the ERA file. In this time, you don't need to do it because if you see the installation guide, there's some special way they're dealing with BRM application. Usually when you install it, you have home called BRM home. You go to this BRM home, right? Go there, running the bin systools. And then it pop up, it asks you, say, what are you going to do? You select EAR file, which is meaning I tell you I'm going to recreate the EAR file with this modification in this file. When you've done that one, it is going to recreate this file. This file will be created under directory dist. When you finish creating this EAR file, deploy it. I'm not going to give it all on the screens because if you are a worker professional or BANA professional, you probably already deployed tons applications under WebLogic. But generally, it's very easy. You log in to the console and click on Install Deployment, select the file, and then for the style, you select this one. Install deploy as application, and then next screen available target. This is the server you're going to select, BRM, usually it is, and on the optional, the second page, set the name for deployment as you wish. For the security, select DD only, this one. When you finish this one, the next screen, next part will be for source accessibility. You select a copy, ever target for me, and click on finish. When the deploy was done, if there's no any issues, you can restart deployed applications. Either you can restart the server and then check your application start or not, and then if it's not, you restart your application again. But for BRM, there's another things you have to do. Not only the deployment, they also have daemon, which is the engine running on the server side. And when you did installation, you will have these things on your server side. Usually, you can find in initial D the startup or shutdown procedure. K is meaning kill it, S meaning start it. And the restart engine, you're done with it. Until now, for the single systems, I will show you already finished the switch. Of course, there's issues, errors, you're going to dealing with it. So this is part for the simple systems or essential the switching. For all unbundled system already done. If you have a more, like say, you have ODS, if you have DBMS or something else, application deployed, and then you have more work to do. So next time we're going to talk about is the when you separate database, you got modified to ESM system, which is your upgrade patching system. How do you change that to make it work for the 19C new database? See you next time. Thanks for listening.